had this year and move it into next year. I can tell you the district improvement plan then gets put on hold pretty much and completely. We may have to make some cuts to provide some of the, to fund some of the contracts that are already out there. And if we want to, we should, that would be my recommendation, pursue at least the accreditation, if not the landmark programs, because they're the ones that keep us from having more expensive services needed to be provided in the future. But you can skate with some of that for a year and then pay the consequences the following year. And that's basically where I'm at. So I can put together a budget that basically looks very similar to what you saw for FY11, which would be keeping everything the same. That's why I didn't do a draft one, because the only thing that would be included in draft one would be reductions. And before I go into doing reductions out of this year's budget in terms of programming or staffing, I'd like some guidance from the school committee as to where you want to go.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Larry. Just real quick, one of the totals you had up here was 34,000 professional development, and on our handouts you have 70,000.
That's because when we did the district improvement plan changes last week,
Okay,
we
that's
reduced it, we
10%,
shifted it
okay.
to grants. In other words, we're not going to put it into the regular budget, go look for it
I just want to
somewhere
make sure
in
it wasn't
grants.
a typo either way.
No, that's why I said this is updated
Okay.
from what you received Friday or Thursday last week. So, yeah, it is a big drop in the staff development proposals, because we made that change to the district improvement plan last week.
With that cut down to limiting the funds from what comes from the operational budget to what comes from grants, have you identified what can be done through the operational budget? Because there's no guarantee that the grants are there, and what are the chances that they are there, and where does that leave us there? And additionally, where does it leave us with some of the other areas within the district improvement plan? I have to tell you, I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I was a little disappointed when I saw that through the replay, that before we really had a real look and grasp of what the budget was going to be and what we'd be getting for that, we kind of hamstrung the superintendent and the administrators in how they come up with what they may want to propose for next year, because some of the things, especially from the district improvement plan, from what I understood, come from the work that the principals do with their school councils and from what they're pushing forward. So what I was hoping to do in regards to this is to see if anybody that voted for the affirmative last week would put that out on the table to open it back up to see if we could discuss removing that restriction until we get a more comprehensive look at what the superintendent and the rest of the administrators would like to bring forward for the budget.
So,
Well, the only comment I do have to make is regarding that we've done any hamstringing before knowledge of the budget. There's been multiple budget subcommittee meetings where the anticipation is, and what the budget committee has asked for, is a level funded budget. It's been made perfectly clear that a level funded budget, which is what the town's anticipating, not only doesn't include the 10% even of the DIP, there's other areas that it doesn't include. So certainly the motion in itself was made with a background and an analysis of where we would be going with a level funded budget. I just wanted to add comment to that.
level funded budget is simply a number. I think to determine what you're gonna limit funding to before you've seen the whole picture of what might be there, I mean, I would prefer to see a list. I mean, this certainly is the start of it. Here are the things identified out of the district improvement plan that have been identified as, I won't say top priority, but certainly higher priority things that the superintendent and the administrators have come back and identified. Before we start capping line items there, let's really get a look at what, now we start to see some of that tonight. Let's get a look at what is really there, what we really can go after. Certainly, before we start hamstringing, or I won't use that term, limiting what we potentially would recommend funding for and not funding for, I would hope to see at least some inkling of what House 1 looked like to determine if what the governor is has recommended or is desiring, it even holds water. I think we're being pretty premature in going there. That's the reason I was asked that, just to open that back up. I mean, it would take a motion from one of the members of the committee who voted in the affirmative last week to even open that up to discuss changing the decision that was made last week. And that's up to the three of you who voted yes. But I certainly would like to see us not rush to judgment.
Through the chair. Best case scenario, Dr. Cully mentioned at least 4 times cutting people. Best numbers coming in, increases in Chapter 70, town giving us a 2.5% levy, and we're still going to cut people. I would never entertain even a thought of another vote on that, to even add a program that's, once again, $250,000, not just over the next 3 years just to implement the program, and then never mind year after year after year. So I just think it's not right of us to even bring it back. If we had a full body here last week, we could have discussed it.
Thank you, Mr. Larry. I'm going to say this. I was originally opposed to going with that 10% limit and 90% from grants. After Dr. Colley explained that he would be happy with that, I ended up voting for that. I think that what I heard tonight about the possibility of shortfall, and Dr. Colley has also mentioned that it's probable, I don't know if, I'm not going to put that word in your mouth, but that's what I heard, that the district improvement plan, as it was voted on last week, is still probably, we're going to have
Pie in the sky.
We're going to have a hard time finding funding for that. What I would say is I want to fund that the way it was originally proposed, and I still look forward to the potential pending the finalization of the state budget and funding and what happens with the town meeting. I think that we can reevaluate the district improvement plan at a later date if that becomes possible.
I just want to mention that when I look at a district improvement plan, it's first of all not